about some fun things in business.
Where were you in the country last week?
Last week I was in Narrandera, and then this week I'm in Cairns.
Where is Narrandera?
Narrandera is about 90 minutes west of Wagga Wagga in New South Wales.
Oh,
So it's sort of central New South Wales.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When I was in Tasmania last week, but then on Friday, when we would have been doing bite-sized conversations, I was doing the crossing on the Spirit of Tasmania over to Melbourne, which I was so pumped about because I love being on a boat. It's just my dream. Unfortunately, it was massively rainy and blustery, so I kept venturing outside, having a little quick peek, and then zhushing back.
Coming back inside.
But there's 2 cinemas on the ship. So Clover and I went and watched 3 movies. It was just
wow. That's amazing. I love that. I've never done that. I've always wanted to do that trip to Tasmania. A friend of ours just did it recently with their caravan, I'm pretty sure, and have been over there for some 6 or 8 weeks, I think, doing tours and hiking and doing all the trails and kind of living the life of a nomad at the ripe young age of 30.
Awesome. I like it.
It's incredible, yeah.
It's definitely a magical country. And what was really special for me is it reminded me a lot of my home country, New Zealand. There was a lot of very similar, once we were a few days in Hobart and then we went off traveling and in a camper van. And the beautiful vistas and everything were very New Zealand-esque. So it really felt a little like coming home, which was pretty special. Look, my glasses are fogged up again. I'm gonna switch glasses.
I'm loving this conversation because it's exactly what we were going to talk about this week, which is how do you stay focused and stick to your funnel. And I love it because you and I really struggle every Friday when we come in with a topic. I'm like, we're going to talk about this. And we remember that we're talking about that topic about 15 minutes into our bite-sized chat. So we're like, that's right, we're talking about that today. So staying focused is so important with what we do. But I love it because these chats, that's why we have them unscripted. So we talk about whatever is coming up with us, whatever is new to us. And it means that we have a real conversation, right? We're actually really connecting rather than just following a script.
Absolutely. And Jenni, I just thought it was such an important topic. Oh, look, I'm fogging again. The staying focused, because yes, clearly we can very much get off track. But what I've noticed lately in my coaching is that, we often talk about those shiny objects, don't we? But I think it's such a real thing that you're heading down that funnel, you're really nailing it, your top of funnel, your middle of funnel, and off you go. Oh, but I maybe just should try that. And I maybe just should try that. That one's not working, so let me give that one a go. But when you say it's not working, actually, is that only because you gave it one shot? Did you do one go of something? Like for example, someone recently was trying Pinterest ads and said, oh, it hasn't worked for me. And I said, how long were you working with that for? And she said, a week. It's like, oh, let's give that 3 months. really put some effort into it. So yeah, that's where I feel that we can get really off track quite easily.
Oh, I completely agree. And I mean, and I am the queen of shiny things. You know that we're having a conversation about a new venture that I'd like to start this with, that I started this yesterday while at this conference in Cairns. And so I think it's really easy for us to be derailed. And one of the things that we talk about in business is that consistency, right? So what changes us from being a hobby to a business is consistency and repeatability. And that's what your funnel is. Your funnel is a mechanism for your business to have consistent and repeatable processes. And so if you don't follow your funnel and don't stick to your funnel, you're essentially constantly derailing that consistency, and you have to keep going back to, starting afresh. I always think about it, you can either use the diet analogy or you can use the learning a new skill analogy. I prefer the learning new skill analogy. So if you want to learn how to ride a bike, you don't do it once, fall off and say, I can't do it. You have to do it every day, until you learn how to ride it, until you realize maybe, after, as you say, 3 months or 2 months of falling off every day, maybe riding a bike isn't for me. But, you might fall off the first day, you might stumble the second day, you might fall off the third day, and then you just get better. And then after a while, you're like, this is awesome, I'm now doing Tour de France, right? So you have to learn and give yourself time to appreciate all the different aspects of your business, not just, as you say, try it once and go, it didn't work, let me try something else.
Absolutely. That analogy is so true in so many instances. You don't decide you're going to get fit and healthy and stay off sugar for one day and then, oh, I'm disappointed with the outcome, or go to the gym once and go, well, that's disappointing. Where's my buff muscles? So yeah, absolutely. Business is the same. We've got to keep flexing that muscle. We've got to, and I love how you said it's definitely about consistency. And yeah, absolutely. So why don't we use your new shiny object as an example? So before we delve into that though, and use it as a great example, what happens, I think, when you get too sidetracked, I don't mean you, I just mean us all in general, when we get too sidetracked is that we don't give the love and attention to what we set up in the first place. So thinking of it like a baby and really, really working with it and, you know, helping it to develop and grow, et cetera, finding those things that are also going to help it on its journey, as opposed to, oh, there's something else and, oh, there's something else. So are you happy to share with your journey with that? So do you feel like, and I often think of it as evolving. So I think it's great to evolve your business and find something that you want to add to it. I've certainly done that with Hello Media. But I feel like I have to nail what I'm doing first, then I can bring something new in. What do you think, Jenni?
Well, I agree with that wholeheartedly, and it's interesting because I think it's and the example I'll give is about how I've set it up. So I'm not adding a new product line to Elephant in the Room Consulting. I've not decided, oh my gosh, I can go, you know, I'm doing strategic workshops for corporate, I'm doing coaching for small clients. Oh, let me find somewhere in the middle to try and, you know, now spread myself too thin in the business. I'm very clear about what Elephant in the Room is. We have the coaching component, which is our Ultimate Authority Masterclass and our program, and we have our consulting work, which is corporate, or basically large organizations, government and corporate, very specific project type consulting around, mostly about Indigenous engagement or around team and strategic workshops. So they're two very clear models that I have, and we stick to them. And I've had people, you know, lately, and you and I've talked about it, derailing, so can you do this and can you do that? And I've always said yes. And it's in the last couple of months that I've actually said, no, I'm actually going to pull back from that. I'm really just going to focus on those two core aspects, because what I was doing, I was ending up, like you've done before, working 150 hours a week because I said yes to something that I shouldn't have, just because I could do it. And I think we all go through this phase. It's not because it wasn't about the revenue that we were getting for the business. It was purely because the opportunity came up, somebody needed my help, and I said yes. And so what happened was then lots of people heard about that, then there was lots of yeses. And so all of a sudden there's this whole new thing that you're doing that doesn't really align with the broader business. And so I've had that challenges with Elephant in the Room, and we've all done that. But now we're very clear. We have two core funnels that we focus on. So that's why the new venture is really interesting, because it was at the conference here where we're talking about Indigenous engagement, employment, economic development, a whole range of spaces. And we've started to talk about my involvement in that space and wanting to be a little bit more active in the area. And what we recognised yesterday was that all the conferences that are about Indigenous employment, Indigenous development, economic development are run by non-Indigenous organisations.
Wow.
And then I couldn't find, other than there's a really great media company called, I think it's First Indigenous Media or First Peoples Media, which is entirely focused on events and activities for people in the communications and media industry. So, you know, TV, radio, film. There isn't one for general business that I could find anyway. So I started the company yesterday. So First People's Events has started yesterday. We have a landing page. No links are working, but we have the landing page that I built in 45 minutes last night. And so essentially what it is about, we're going to look at running events for First Nations peoples globally, not just in Australia. So run by First Nations peoples, delivered by First Nations people, with content and speakers designed by us, for us, to help kind of bridge the gap and have a safe space to have that narrative and conversation. So that is a very much standalone. And I also recognize I can't do that alone. So we've got a model that's around an advisory board that will actually help develop that content. It's not mine. It's actually for the community. It's actually for our sector. And by doing that, I'm actually I'm providing an opportunity for others to grow, practicing what we preach, right? But it's not going to derail me from my business, because we'll set the business model up as a separate space, very clear guidelines around how it will work and when I will engage with that business. So it's really exciting. I'm so bloody excited.
So excited for you. That's so awesome. And what I love is that you saw a need, you saw a gap, and then you were able to fill that gap. But it's not taking away from the other business. In fact, even though you said it's standalone, it's also adding to it, because it's already in the space that you, that some of your work is in. How
Yeah.
exciting.
It's pretty exciting, but it's still, but I had that conversation when we're thinking about our topic, like, oh, is this just shiny things that I've gone off and done? And in some respects, it was a little bit of a, oh my gosh, we need to do this. But because we can separate it from Elephant in the Room Consulting, it'll be a different brand, it's a different company name, it's a different ABN, it's a whole different structure. It doesn't behold me to be the only one that runs it. It doesn't have to come part of this. It's about creating a team and a business model that, as you said, will still support what we're doing with Elephant in the Room, but provide another opportunity for other people to grow and develop and build a whole new engagement and network. And they will always be standalone, and I want them to always be standalone, so we don't get that kind of muddling of waters and confusion around the brand. And that's really critical when we're wanting to stay focused, is so often when people derail their funnel, they actually start creating like little sub brands that don't fit their overall company brand. And that's when people get confused. That's when they get confused and they go, what was I actually here for in the first place, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you're having them or treating them right from the very beginning as standalone. So clearly they'll probably have their own, would they be having their own branding and completely different look, feel, email addresses, all the whole thing. And as you've said, you've got a whole nother website, et cetera, being built out now. So what's so good about that is that you're also future-proofing both of those brands so that they can, if you decide to go off in one direction and sell the other, et cetera, or, you know, whatever it is that your plans are in the future. And who can know? That's really exciting that you know, that's what you can do. So yay for you, Jenni.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited. And look, and if there's any First Nations people watching in Australia or anywhere across the world and you want to be part of our advisory group, reach out to me. We'd love to chat to you. Haven't got email addresses yet. They're coming, but we'll reach out at the moment. But I think the key here is around this staying focused and understanding your funnel. And it goes back to that clarity point. You and I talk a lot about clarity. It's one of my favorite words. We know that. And you uncomplifying. As soon as you start to add extra layers into your funnel, you complicate something that doesn't need to be complex. Like, you make it difficult. And I think we're so attuned to making things difficult instead of just finding the easiest path, that we think we have to add these layers of complexity to make us feel and be and whatever it is. We want to be bigger and stronger or whatever. And we're like, oh, let's be that person that has 25 product lines because that's, you know, going to show that I'm a big business. It just shows that you're confused in a lot of cases. Unless you're selling product like Brenda and she has like 4,000 different products that she sells, but she's still selling 2 core products, haberdashery and curtains, right? It's a very clear model.
Same one topic.
Correct. Yeah, one topic. So I think that funnel piece is so important for us when we're developing and building and wanting to grow, to say, can I grow my funnel? Can I build out my funnel and expand it and scale my funnel? And if I can do that, well, that's a successful business model. If you've got a funnel, though, that has like a stop at the end and it's limited in terms of time or delivery, that actually hampers your business growth, that's the point when it's time to say, well, actually, this funnel is no longer working for the business to where I want it to go. So now's the time to review it, reflect, and maybe create a second funnel, but not necessarily throw that one out, but recreate your business model and your funnel based on what you want to do, not just because it kind of seems cool.
Totally agree. And if we look at product-based, for example, to start with, we have a lot of businesses. I've got clients now, and also my previous e-commerce business, which had 2 funnels, so wholesale and retail. And really trying to meld them and work one funnel out of them is quite complicated because they're completely different customer avatars that you're working with, and that who you're trying to appeal to, your messages are different, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, really important that we keep those funnels separate, but same one business. However, with service-based business, I'd like to give the example of when we first met, and my funnel was just a shabozzle, and I felt overwhelmed by it. I knew it was a mess, but I didn't know how to refine it because I felt like I needed to offer all the things. So it was really, really complicated. So yes, my top of funnel was great. Where am I getting aware? Where are people getting to glance at what I'm doing and, you know, get that little bit of know happening and a bit of light going on, etc., before we move down into the trust and the buy. So it was really important that I really didn't get the top of funnel clear, but I needed to get that middle of funnel. What was happening with that next bit, a little bit of offering, you know, where they're going to, invest a little bit of time or invest a little bit of money with me before I take them down into that big kahuna. Yeah. So what I had to do was literally wipe out 90% of my offerings, not forever, it was just for now, wipe them out completely, restructure what was going on for me in terms of my offerings, and then I've been able to bring in some of those offerings again, but they're now at my bottom of funnel. So now I only have those offerings for people that are already now my clients. And then I say, oh, and now once you are a client, there is also this, and this on offer as well. But it's not offered for everyone, which really just got it really incredibly messy. So it was an interesting journey.
Sorry, and I think that's actually really important, because what it's also showing is you're actually building in continuity in your business. And that's the thing, we think we have to throw everything at the front. Yes. But if you give everybody everything at the front, your funnel ends. You've kind of got nowhere to go. So your customers come in and they leave, and it reduces your life cycle of your customers. We're all business owners. We want repeatability, right? We want people to come back and see us at various times in their business, or to stay with us longer. And if you have a funnel and you put everything up front and give all the offerings up front, basically, once they choose one of those two or three of those things, they're going to think they're at the end, because there's no leveling of your product. As soon as you do what you've done, which is so clever and so powerful for a business, to say, this is step one, and everybody needs to do one version of step one first. But once you're inside the door, once you come in, there's a whole lot of other things that you can do, which creates stickiness, it creates continuity, but it also creates loyalty, because then people say, well, these are for people who are like me. We've done the work, we've done the hard yards, we've been, we've taken the steps with Kylie, and now she's rewarding us with the next level and that kind of secret sauce stuff. And I think that's really a powerful way to run your business model. And so many courses do that. They'll do that very small, pardon the pun, bite size and very small kind of entry level piece first, just to get you in the door. And what that does is it builds engagement. And then once you're there, by the way, there's the next step. And then there's another door, and then there's another door. So clever.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it takes a lot to get to that stage. I think maybe not for everyone, but it certainly did for me, because I wanted to be able to write people's contents for their website if they wanted. I wanted to be able to build up their whole website if they wanted. I wanted, because of very similar to you, we're a lot of things. So, graphic designer, I used to have a video production company. There's lots of things in my wheelhouse. So I felt like I needed to offer all the things. So no, I don't need to offer all the things. I need to offer one particular program, and then I can offer things, to those people in the program. So it just felt like it just was a whole lot more sustainable. And it's really clear now to me what exactly is going on with that. So it feels good. And I know the same for you around your retreats, et cetera, built, having all the things happening and then pulling it in to something really, really succinct, not stink, really helps you get a lot of clarity, not just for you and what you're offering, but for your people out there trying to understand what it is that they're signing up to.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's the clarity and focus is so important. And that's the point, isn't it? It's not just about clarity for us. Ultimately, we're here to serve customers and clients and partners, whatever you want to call them. And so if we don't have clarity, how are they going to know what you're offering? How are they going to know how you can help me? And I think and I've got caught out even in the last couple of months where someone's come to me and said, oh, look, I'm not ready for your workshop. So of course, my brain has gone into, oh, well, let me find a solution for you. And then I've kind of checked myself going, no, don't do that. But also the conversation with the client or the potential client was really awkward, because I could feel myself kind of going back to those old habits, because I just really wanted to work with this person. And I was like, how do I make that work? But then as soon as I've stepped back and gone, actually, no, this is what you can do. These are the 3 options or the 2 options that you have to join me. That's the pathway, and this is why. And the reason it works is because I've seen it when we go off the rails and we try to do those kind of ad hoc things, we also get confused, and it confuses our team, because then our team isn't really sure. And one of my amazing favorite clients has had this challenge where they were trying to offer all the different kind of discounts and things and whatever, and their customers and their teams got confused about, well, does this person get that, and what is the price that we have to charge every month, and are they allowed in this group, and can they come over here? Because there was just too many things going on. So the reason we have this funnel, and then the term of the funnel is really around just saying we're pushing people down a single, or pulling people down a single pathway that makes it easy for them. It makes it easy for us. And that's when you can get that success and calmness and get rid of overwhelm in your business, because you're really focused on what you're trying to deliver, not the top of the funnel, which is how do I get people in?
So how do we stay focused then with all of this? So for me, for example, I know that we have really made these incredibly comprehensive in Canva. So they're really comprehensive documents, and really, you know, visually and with words explain exactly what it's all about. So if ever I'm, you know, in a discovery call and I feel like you were just saying, you wanted to offer something else and you're like, no, come back in. But it's very easy for me because I can just refer back to exactly my funnel as it is, and then the documents I've created supporting that. And so if I was to hand over that document to someone where I'd actually offered them a little something else, it's not going to work anyway. It's just going to add a whole bunch more work. So what about for you? How do you manage to stay focused in that?
One, it's reminding myself what I'm there for. So I set that clarity very much up front early about this is what the offer is. So the offer is this, and this is, and I know what I'm trying to, what in the conversation or the clarity call or discovery call, whatever you're calling it, is I know what my end goal for that call is. And there's it's either offering them the program, offering them the retreat, or they can do a short-term package. It's very simple. And so I really do stick to those scripts now. So it's not so much a script. I'm not as organized as you and have it all written down. But I'm very mindful of these are the three things that I offer. So I've stripped my website back a lot. We have a separate website now, still with the same branding as the elephant in the room, but same look and feel, but it's just for the Ultimate Authority program. So people can go there for the coaching clients. That's where the coaching clients go, and they see there's a very singular offer. The consulting guys go to my main website, which talks about the consulting work that I do and talks about the strategic stuff that I do. So there's a quite separation of those, and that really does help and give clarity to clients because I'm directing them to one thing. I also find that the landing page and the buy page that I get them to look at, to say, I send them a link, and we got this from a colleague of ours who ran a coaching business a few years ago, and that I've just created a landing page. So when I'm talking to them, I send them the link to where I want them to go and say, these are your offers, choose what you want to do. So that really helps me stay on target. The other thing that I've done though is I've actually reduced the time that I have for my clarity calls. So I used to do 45 minutes, which would end up being an hour, sometimes longer. And now I've actually just made them all 30 minutes. So sometimes they do stretch a little over those 30 minutes. And, you know, that's where I'm always struggling. You know, we both of us struggle a little bit with, you know, great conversation and time. But by having a 30-minute, I'm really targeted and focused. And I say to the client up front, this is what we're here to do. I'd love to help you today. I really want to give you value. What do you want to talk about? And at the end, if it's okay, I'm just going to share a little bit about my programs to see if it's something that you'd like. So I've set that expectation up. Again, focus and clarity.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. So focus is it was my word of the year last year. And I just think anything you can find to help you stay focused is so important. So one little tip, for example, is really, this isn't even necessarily about the funnel, but it's just turning off notifications so that there's not things flashing, et cetera, et cetera. So I know I've got this amount of time to work on this project, boom, I get stuck in. So very much that's what I had to do when I was really working out that funnel. And, you know, I even came to Brisbane and did workshops, et cetera, to really get that clarity around my offerings. So yeah, good luck to everyone, I say, in terms of staying focused, staying with that funnel, but then also seeing where the opportunities show up, like you with this new opportunity. So see it, definitely embrace it, but, you know, make sure that you're not throwing out something that's potentially needs your a little bit more love and attention. With, you know, like I used at the very beginning, that example with someone wanting to do Pinterest ads, giving it a week and then no results. Well, yeah. That's not even giving it a fair shot, really.
No.
Yeah,
and I think it's about that planning. I think that idea is look at the time frame. So the business, we're looking at running our first event in April next year. It's not tomorrow. It's not in September. So I have to then go, oh my gosh, I've got like 3. It's in April. We're giving ourselves time to set it up correctly so that when we go to market and we start to actually really promote it, there's structure and a framework already in place, that we're not doing that kind of catching ourselves up. We're really clear about what the proposition is for the market. The same when it comes to my consulting and the Ultimate Authority program. In fact, we've just changed that for people who want to come. It used to be you needed to be part of the whole 6-month program to do the UA. And now we're actually saying we realize there's so much value in that 3-day program. We want people just to come to the 3-day so they can come and do the 3-day retreat and mastermind, focus themselves in that. And then they might say, actually, I'll stay on for the coaching, or I'll come back to the coaching later, but at least they've got the foundations, because that's really the strong part for us, is that 3-day immersion. So by running just the standalone immersion, they can do it in Brisbane in June, or they can do it with us in Queenstown in November, because we're going to go to Queenstown for the first time. But as a standalone unit, it gives people an opportunity, but it doesn't derail my focus. It doesn't change my funnel. It's just there are different options on how you can engage with that program now. And so that growth and that clarity is reflecting back the needs of my clients. That's what I've been told by them. They said, look, can I just come to the 3-day? Sure, you can. Before I was like, no, you must do everything. But that was about me, not about them, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love it, Jenni. Very good. I'm so excited to see it all evolve, and really looking forward to checking out your landing page. Good for you. One thing you haven't mentioned is your socials. So you'll be having a whole new set of socials, right?
Yeah, that's the thing that we didn't quite get to last night. We created everything else. So there will be a new set of socials just for the event. We'll only talk about that when we're really looking to focus and create the event. And so that will be specifically for but basically designed for that new event in the sector. So it's an Indigenous business sector or Indigenous wellness sector. So anyone in that space, First Nations peoples, the conferences will be designed and targeted to them specifically. Doesn't mean we'll only have First Nations speakers. We'll have others as well, and we would love other allies and accomplices on our journey to come and join and learn and listen and share knowledge and share story. But yeah, there'll be a whole set of other conversations so that we don't muddy the waters, as we've said.
Oh, I'm so excited for you. And I love the term muddy the waters. I think that's a really, really good one. It really gives clarity also, doesn't it? Just that one line, really magic. Well, Jenni, as always, love a great chat with you for a little bite-sized conversation on a Friday morning. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And for those listening later on the podcast or on YouTube, etc., thanks for being here. And we're going to sign off. We both have some very big days ahead. And enjoy Cairns for your last day, Jenni.
So very much. It's so great to chat to you. Remember, clarity, focus, choose what you want to do in your funnel and stick to it, try it out and be consistent. And I'm looking forward to chatting next week with you guys.
Love it. Look forward to it too. All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thanks so much. Thanks, Jenni. See you next Friday and for more bite-sized conversations. All right. Bye-bye.